Embiid, I won the MVP, now I'm tapped out. Literally, he got a gold medal, got his MVP, got 2 scoring titles, and he was like, nah, I'm done. I'm just tapped out.
Have moved. I figured end of July, beginning of August, middle of the offseason will be the perfect time to move because there's not that much going on in the NBA world. But boy, was I wrong, because the Philadelphia 76ers are in the middle of the off.
You mean Armageddon? That's what I'm going to call it for him. Hey, they chose to extend him. From hell. That was up to them.
It's been really, really bad. It first started off with the draft where the Sixers lucked up and risked.
I want to state my position on Joel Embiid. I have 2 different viewpoints. Joel Embiid's a great one-on-one player. He's huge, sizable, and honestly, he should have been the face of the league if he didn't have such a poor behavior. But that's besides the point. Just like I view Jokic as the current face of the league, and he's a team guy. He gets the team involved, he's active with the team, getting them to play. Joel Embiid, he's one-on-one, not a team guy, but he gets it rolling. That's the 2 distinct differences that I put between those 2 big men. Oh, and no matter what, Joel Embiid one-on-one with Jokic, he's going to win every time. It's just the difference in their size and strength and their athleticism, since Embiid just explodes off the floor.
See the 3rd overall selections put themselves in position to select Ace Bailey, who would have been the perfect replacement for Paul George, because let's just be honest with ourselves, the PG era out in Philly is certainly going to be short-lived. But unfortunately, Bailey decided to cancel all of his workouts, believing that Philly wasn't going to be the best situation for him, which then forced Philadelphia to select VJ Edgecombe. Me personally, I believe that VJ shows a lot of potential. However, that promise more than likely won't be seen because he's going to play behind.
He'll be an MPJ. He'll be a starter, but he'll need some time to develop.
Behind both Jared McCain and Tyrese Maxey.
That's what Summer League's for.
Certainly going to receive more minutes than he does. The hurdles continue throughout the summer, with Yabusele signing with the Knicks. Then you had Quentin Grimes having contract disputes with the front office, which normally wouldn't be that big of a deal, but when you have a roster this thin in terms of talent, every single time you lose someone that can actually contribute is going to be a massive blow to the roster. But then on top of that, you have Paul George suffering a severe knee injury while working out in the middle of July. So severe that he's forced to have a knee surgery. That's crazy.
So Paul George and Embiid are both getting a knee surgery done. Interesting. Unless Embiid's getting his hip done. I forget what the injury was. But for both Paul George, he's old. Embiid, he's 31. He's already going on 32, and he's already injury prone. Embiid has missed over 400 of his games. He's played barely close to 51% of his total games. He's on the verge of being a minus 500 in terms of games due to injury. Jokic has missed like 10 in his career. And he missed 2 of them not due to injury. He did them because his wife was giving birth to his son, and he wanted to be home for that. It was just 2 weeks. I mean, there's a huge difference between those 2 in terms of how they are as players.
This means that his return is going to be pushed back way beyond the beginning of training camp, which is also going to be very concerning for a team that's trying to build up chemistry. However, the reason why you clicked on this video, and by far the biggest concern that the Sixers have to worry about moving forward, all centers around the face of the franchise, and that is Joel Embiid. Despite the fact that Embiid only played 19 games last year, the new reports are claiming that he still is not ready. The knee is still a major concern, and he will not be prepared for the beginning of training camp. A lot of information to digest if you are a Philly fan, an executive, a player, and even Joel Embiid. I can only imagine if you are Embiid, the road of recovery has been a long one, and especially when you consistently find yourself on this road every single year.
I blame 2 things. Embiid has never been unhealthy. He's not like Zion, who eats himself silly. He's not like Zion in any way, shape, or form. Embiid is just heavily injury prone, and I think a lot of it has to do with his conditioning. This is my opinion on how I've been seeing it. Joel Embiid has not great conditioning. I just don't think he does. I've never seen him prepare the same way at the beginning of the game like I do a Jokic or Luka, with the straps and the stretching and the moving. He's always just going out there and he's doing the weird hold out his hands, close his eyes, lean his head back, and listen to the audience cheer for him. Like he's absorbing the aura. And another part of it is, the second part of it is just the 76ers. They must have some of the worst medical staff of any team I have ever seen. Some of the calls they've made on Embiid just to have him play has cost him to be more injured than he needed to be. If you are on a well-balanced team with a good staff, they would not be putting you in. They'd be like, dude, you're sitting out. They would. As long as he's present for the game and he's there on the sideline. I swear, man. Embiid's career, it's like I said, I was a big fan of Zion when he first got brought into the league. I thought Zion would have been the next player, but it didn't turn out that way. I also thought Embiid would be the next player. It did not turn out that way because they just kept doing things that hurt them more than helped them. And a lot of it has to do with the people around you, the team that you're with, the people impacting you on the team. For Embiid, it's just been his injury history right now. I'm focusing on what he's doing right now in the league. And the injury history, boy, it is a long one. Shaq has missed 200 plus games. Embiid has doubled that in his shorter tenure. Doubled it with over 400 missed games. That is crazy. How can you have that many? Oh my God.
Certainly has to be troublesome, something that we will certainly talk about later on. Now, for those who believe I'm being a little bit too irrational, please let me break it down in 3 simple ways, 3 important nuggets that I've gathered from both of these articles. First, let's not forget how we got here. Last year, Joel Embiid signed a 3-year extension, effectively making him a Sixer until he's in his mid-30s.
And the thing is, they extended him out knowing his injury history. Yeah, don't get me wrong. Some of these teams believe they need a star. Some aren't competing for a championship. They're just competing for ticket sales most of the time. But just the Embiid situation for the 76ers, that is just a bad situation.
Which is certainly questionable to say the least. So these Sixers and Embiid did their due.
And look at Embiid. He's not out of shape. He's not. He's just got, I just think he's got terrible conditioning habits when he's pre-prepping for a game. It's one thing to be in shape, but you have to warm up your body before a game. And it's one thing I always see Jokic doing when he's out there prepping. Every game he's out there, he's on the straps, he's doing a run, he's stretching, he's doing all this. Embiid, he's just walking, doing aura stances, and nothing else. So that's the difference, I guess.
Diligence sat down with more than 6 experts, examined Embiid's knee and the rest of his body, and effectively, the experts came to the conclusion that as long as Embiid is managed correctly, is on a minutes restriction, does not play back-to-back games, and effectively really is proper with his condition and rest, he should be able to get back to where he was a couple of years ago when he won league MVP.
I want to be clear, that should have been Jokic's MVP, but due to voter fatigue, it was not. And we all know Jokic, a lot of people, it took 3 years after the Embiid MVP for people to start seeing Jokic in the proper light that he's supposed to be seen in. They now see him as an elite player, MVP caliber, and a lot of people do agree that Embiid's MVP should have been Jokic's, but you got voter fatigue, and it's a very real thing. And the bottom line is this. I have no issues with Shea winning the MVP last year. That was a tough MVP conversation because between Shea and Jokic, who would win the MVP? That was a tough call because Jokic is the first center in NBA history to average a 29-point triple-double. And then you got Shea, who won the scoring title and was also on the team with the best record of 68 wins. Now, here's my other thing about that whole situation with the Shea argument. I don't view the MVP in terms of the stats. I view it as the player's impact on plus minus when they're on and off the court for their team. How do they impact their team's overall wins? Shea has a plus minus 10 when it comes to win or loss shares if he's not on the court. So if he wasn't on the court with OKC, they would be a 58 win team last year. Jokic is a plus minus 20. 20. So they wouldn't have even been in playoff contention if they didn't have Jokic on the floor. And Jokic now has, for the Nuggets coming up this season, an enormous advantage. He's got a bench, a backup center for the first time in his career. He has elite backups. They have talent. They got Cam Johnson for 3-point shooting. I mean, everything about what I'm seeing with the Nuggets right now screams we're better than we were last year. And last year they had a depleted roster with no bench and literally no depth. And they still took OKC in the second round to a game 7. Game 7. And that just tells you. Because I knew once OKC got past the Nuggets, they were going to streamline past everyone else. There's no question about that.
This then resulted in Embiid being on some of the most, and I do mean most ridiculous regimen I have ever seen any player before the season even began. If y'all remember last year, I made a video where effectively everyone was anticipating like, oh, Embiid is not going to play back-to-backs. He's going to be on minute restriction. We had a whole calendar and schedule about what Embiid is going to look like heading into the following year. And all of that resulted in Embiid only playing 19 games. Joel Embiid hasn't played basketball since February.
Wow.
Here we are now in August, and the reports are already telling us that his knee is still a concern, that it's still not 100% despite the fact that he's effectively gone through over 6 months of rehab, and it's so concerning that he won't even be prepared for training camp. That is,
I'm not a big thing like Stephen A. Smith is, where he constantly says, maybe I should retire. I honestly think in this situation, Embiid should probably just retire. I understand there's a lot of money left on the table, but man, he's just going to continue to get worse before he gets better. And by the time he's better, he would have been better off out of the league. I mean, gosh, Zion. I wish he was not an eating machine. I'm surprised the team could not get him to focus and stop eating.
Is over a month out in advance. They already know that he's not going to be ready in a month's time. Let that sink in. And while
and the Euro basketball tournament for 2025 is going on, and both Giannis, Luka, and Embiid, and Jokic and Jonas, who's also on the Nuggets team as the backup center for Jokic, are playing for their respective teams in the tournament. So it's going to be fun. They're going to be basketball ready by the time October rolls around and the season gets started, because they start this tournament here in August and it ends in September. It's going to be a good tournament too, and a lot of people actually could look forward to watching it because you get to see Giannis play. Oh, and Wemby, I'm sure, is Victor Wembanyama should be in there with his team, and I think he'll be playing with Giannis. I think that's a good question. Is Wembanyama? Good question. I'm not sure if he is. No, Victor Wembanyama will not be playing in the Euro basketball tournament this year. He will be focusing on his recovery from a blood clot issue that prematurely ended his 2015. Oh, man. He's very scrawny, though. When I look at him, I'm worried about him. I feel like he'll just snap if you flick him too hard. So I thought he'd be playing, but he probably would be. But they've got Giannis, Jokic, and Luka all playing for their respective teams in the Euro Basketball League. So it's going to be great. Giannis is going to be playing for Greece. You got Luka playing for, I forget. His is located near Serbia. I'm right. But Jokic will be playing for Serbia. So it should be good. Actually, let me see. CBS Sports, if they don't do stupid ad crap. Let's see. Which NBA stars are playing here? Luka Doncic, Giannis are in. Victor Wembanyama is out. Nikola Jokic, meanwhile, has not yet made a final decision playing Serbia. Oh, this is back in June. Yeah, he already made that decision. He's going to be playing with Serbia. And he did it probably to get himself basketball ready. because,
While
you know,
that marinates
he was in the
with you, let's
offseason.
not also forget that during the 23-24 campaign, Embiid only played 39 games, effectively meaning that in the past 2 years, Embiid has not even played 60 NBA games, not even 60 in a 2-year period. And yet,
And just to be clear, for a player to qualify for even an MVP, they have to play at least 65 games. It's a minimum now. A minimum of 65 games they have to have played. And that doesn't mean coming into the game and sitting on the bench. That means you have to be playing. I'm not sure what the minutes or the rule structure is on that, but
yet here we are now, again, in August, and it's already known that he's not going to be prepared for training camp. That is really, 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 really ridiculous. The second takeaway that I'm getting from both of these articles is that it seems there is a growing regret of having Embiid on the
see, look at this. He's aura farming. Like, I can tell this guy lives to have his ego super stroked.
roster internally from the Sixers organization, which may be the first time it's starting to get this loud. Now, of course, there's always been hesitation, reservation about Embiid being a Sixer, even in the beginning of his career when they were selecting him. However, there was always this constant push to make sure that he was on the floor, some form of validation from the front office to make sure that we made the right decision of having Embiid on this team.
I do believe the 76ers did make the right decision getting Embiid. I mean, think about it. He's been elite. He has scoring titles. He's been an MVP. He's won gold medals. He is a great scoring machine. He's a freak of nature when he's not injured. If he's fully healthy, he's an MVP candidate. But with all the injuries, I'd say he's probably about 80%. I mean, he's 80% Embiid is better than 90% of the league. So, I mean, it's not a total downside, but the expectation was championship with him. People wanted him to bring home a championship, but that did not happen.
Matter of fact, Embiid even speaks about this in the ESPN article. Again, I think that was a really, really great article, great journalism. But effectively, in that article, Embiid outlines how in the beginning part of his career, the Sixers were constantly pushing him to be on the floor, again, for validation for even selecting him in the first place. Luckily, it came to find out that he really wasn't faking an injury, that he genuinely needed to sit out for the totality of his rookie season. So that really worked out for him. But that has been the constant push that we've seen through various reports throughout Embiid's entire career. So for us to get to where we are right now, where there is this growing regret or resentment of Embiid being on the roster, is really the first time that we've seen this Sixers organization not be as optimistic as they used to be, which kind of makes sense. Again, the Sixers kind of put themselves in a position where they had no other choice but to trust the process. But here we are now at 31 years of age, Embiid on a 3-year extension. It's going to carry him out to he's 34, 35. And if you're talking about a player who's now played back-to-back seasons, not even 60 games, the hesitation, the questions, the
Okay, so this is what I wanted to see. Embiid has played a total of 400 out of 846 career games. That means he has 446 games since his NBA debut, which is approximately 47% of games he could have played. He's almost missed nearly half of his games in his career. That is nuts. I don't know of any other player in NBA history that was an all-star that had this level of injury history and missed so many games. I would love if Embiid could come back fully healthy and be an MVP caliber again, because MVP caliber Embiid is an unstoppable force of nature. He quite literally is. You cannot stop him in defense. You have to foul him. He's like a Shaq. He literally is. That's how big and strong he is. Only one who can even be matched up with him is Jokic, just for his size. But that's about it.
concerns around Embiid certainly seems to be much more legitimate than where we were when he was in his mid-20s. There's only so much you can do when you have a 7-footer on the wrong side of 30 who's consistently been dealing with injuries throughout the totality of his career, and you're giving him 57 up
There he is, aura farming again.
to $67 million for the next 3 to 4 years. So that's really, really concerning. Now, from an organizational standpoint, this makes all the sense in the world. If you're the Sixers and you truly regret giving Embiid that 3-year contract extension last year, especially because you're going to owe him $67 million in 2029 when he is 35 years old. So yeah, if you want to remove yourself from that, I thoroughly understand, and easily pivoting into a rebuild that will feature complementary guards, regardless if that's Tyrese Maxey, Jared McCain, or now VJ Edgecombe, is a really good way to sell a rebuild. But when it comes to Embiid, it's certainly a little bit more complicated than that. Now, I am not someone who pushes a player towards retirement. However, after reading that article from ESPN, it's hard for me to believe that Embiid hasn't at bare minimum thought about it. Matter of fact, it is heavily implied that he has periodically throughout his career. Retirement has been on his mind since the beginning, especially when he was dealing with mental anxiety with his brother passing away. And quite frankly, the one biggest takeaway that I've gotten from that article is that the road of rehab isn't just physically taxing, but also mentally as well. The constant battles that Embiid has to face internally, especially when it comes to trustworthy, not only from the front office perspective, but it has leaked into his personal life, so much so that literally in the article, he's talking about how he leaves money out in his house purposely to see if someone's going to come in and steal his money, and then from there make the decision on if he decides to keep that person in his life. Like, it's actually a lot. And I can only imagine the ongoing mental anguish that Embiid has to go through every single year. And it's been pretty reoccurring. The ups and downs from the roster perspective, head coach, front office, and now with Embiid's health constantly in flux. I can only imagine that Embiid can quite literally just say, I'm over it. I'm over it. This is done. I'm tired of going through this up and down strife with my body, with the front office, with the demands that comes along with it. He's even had some verbal public outburst about how the city of Philadelphia should really applaud me for me putting my body on the line all the time, especially when people were questioning the contract extension that he...
No, because that's not how fan bases work. They applaud you when you're winning for them. You can't be an all-time great player and just be losing all the time. That doesn't work. I mean, put it like this. Say you're a franchise quarterback for a team and you are winning and above 500, roughly 10 or 11 wins a year, but you're not making a deep postseason success. They're going to cheer for you in the regular season like, oh my God, we have a chance. But then come playoffs, they're just going to boo you out. Fans don't work like that. They cannot do that for you. And the fact that you expect them to is an ego. That's part of that ego that people have a problem with Embiid. Because he has a nasty history of things he's done off the court that is not pretty. He did something to France that was just terrible. So you can't tell me Embiid didn't bring most of this on himself with the way he acts.
He received last offseason. So there's been a lot of back and forth with Embiid, the front office, even the fan base as well. And I think the reason why a lot of people are constantly at edge when it comes to Embiid playing with the Sixers is because there's just a constant amount of unknown that comes along with him being on the team. And that unknown is certainly unsettling. And so I just look at all of the factors and I have a hard time not concluding that Embiid probably is going to look at retirement as a very serious option. We're talking about a Sixers roster that is extremely thin from a talent perspective. Most of their talented players are under the age of 25 years old. They still don't have a solid backup big man, in my opinion, that will remove a lot of that pressure off of Embiid's shoulders. They have to consistently rely on two players who are over the age of 30, constantly dealing with injuries in PG and Embiid, where their most important player in Embiid is at the age of 31, who's been constantly dealing with injuries throughout his entire career, hasn't played basketball since February, and still is not properly prepared for the upcoming season. All of that with also a contract extension that seems to be growing resentment and regret from a front office perspective, and a player in Embiid who's been constantly dealing with the back and forth mental gymnastics
they'd probably deal with it if Embiid brought them home a championship. But if any indication, an organization can move off you at any point, like they did to Luka, who just took them to the finals with the Dallas Mavericks. But of course, Dallas got super lucky and got the first round overall pick. I mean, my God, you can't. Nico saved his career with that one.
Aspects that come with trying to rehab, and the process being more so with him being prepared and available rather than them winning a championship. It just feels as if like this team is too far removed from where they need to be for them to then try to add a...
Sounds like they expect to win a championship, but they're not in a position to do so. 3 teams that are in a position to win a championship this year are the Houston Rockets, the OKC Thunder, Oklahoma City, and of course the Denver Nuggets. These are the 3 teams definitely within the title contention this year. No doubt they are. Especially with the moves the Nuggets made in the offseason, what the Houston Rockets did in the offseason, and then OKC signed their 2 best players to huge contracts, which was absolutely what they wanted to do to lock them up. And if you pay them now, you won't have to pay them more in the future. Like, it won't be a bigger amount. Because the sooner you pay them, the less it's going to be for you in the future. Because you see with like these quarterback contracts, the number is not coming down. It's going up.
Another hurdle into the mix, and that's another year of uncertainty with Embiid. All of this amounts to, at bare minimum, contemplating the idea of Embiid retiring much sooner than I think a lot of people anticipated just a year ago when he received that 3-year extension. But hey, those are my thoughts. Please let me know yours in the comment section below. At best, I still see this team as a first round exit because Embiid and Paul George are not going to be healthy throughout an 82-game season. And the talent on this roster, though is promising, certainly isn't good enough to make it through an 82-game season, even in a weak conference that puts them in a position to receive home court advantage that might make a difference. But I just don't see how Embiid is ever going to get back to the point of his career where he'll impact the game to the same degree that we saw it of him 2 years ago, especially beyond the age of 30 and still dealing with knee problems after only playing 19 games and hasn't played an NBA game since February. I don't see how any of that is possible. I just don't. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. And until next time, I'll see you all later. Peace.
Hey there, everyone. If you enjoyed this content, like and subscribe and comment down below. Thanks again.